Yo, Crypto Nation and Mine family, what's going on? What's up? What's up? What's up? All you happy hashers out there, I know I'm doing a second stream for today. We hadn't completely locked in that we're doing anything today, so I was like, you know what? If I have to do two of them, I'll do two of them. It's all good. Because, like, man, it's the Doge Lord himself.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
even
I
know
got
that you
the
had that.
OG shirt, bro.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's like
This
six,
is
7 years old.
yeah, this is the one that you gave to me out of the back of your own vehicle.
That's right. Oh my gosh, that was when was that? 2017, right?
Yeah,
Like
that was the
early
Atlanta,
mid.
Georgia
Yeah,
meetup.
man, the Bitcoin pub days. Well, like I was
Right?
telling you, man, it's been a long time. It's great to
Oh
talk to
my
you again.
God! So, of course, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Nemesis. This is Crypto and Hot Rods, and we've got my good friend over here, Peter Saddington, aka the Bitcoin Lambo guy. This is the guy that actually started me off, not only with like trying to not do create content, as he would say document what you're doing. And that's
You
what
got it.
started all of this off, next to him and Bite Size sitting there going, oh, you want to know how to legally print money? This is how you legally print money. And I was like, okay, you have my full attention, sir.
I remember those days, man. Those were oh, man. So I remember those call outs. I remember those experiments with all the GPUs and all
Oh
the
my God,
the
you guys'
early
own
A6.
pool.
Oh man, those were such good days. I mean, we did so much. There was so much science that was happening in the, especially for me, specifically in the 14, 15, 16, and then in 16 when I created the Bitcoin Pub, and then I met you, and even deep more experiments with GPUs and racking them in stacks of six, and then getting the location over in North Georgia, the little location that we had over there, and started
Where you
racking
melted the
the
paint off
GPU,
the walls.
melting the paint off the walls, man. Like you look back, I look back at those moments, man, and those were some of the best moments. We were just trying shit out,
Yeah.
And so I'm
Those,
so glad that helped you start your journey into the Bitcoin mining world, and you've survived.
right.
You're survived. You're still here.
Right. And it's like, and I came from a world of automotive, so no technical background with computer hardware, no, like other than doing like maybe some script kiddie stuff for video games, no real coding experience per se of any sort. And it's like after getting involved with you with a Yen project and all of that, it brought me and Mikkel together, and we did a whole bunch of awesome stuff.
Yo, you guys are like two mad scientists. I mean, you started doing stuff that was way beyond me. I remember at a couple points, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can keep up with these guys. How is Miguel doing?
He's doing okay. There's some stuff I can tell you more off air than on air type of
Fair
thing.
enough. I see him in chat.
But I mean, overall, he's doing great. He got his kids and stuff. His kids are doing great. Um, he's still doing the mining stuff. He's actually doing like some remote work, and then every so often he goes down there for physical work into Texas to work at a mining facility, which is awesome. I'm jealous of him.
Oh, okay,
there's
okay. Well,
there's not a whole lot in northern Illinois for me to be able to go mining. Mining facilities close to me. The power rates are just ridiculous by me, and
what are the power rates? What are they sitting at?
so if you're residential, you're like about 11 cent all in.
Oh,
Yeah, if you're residential. If you're commercial, you're about 8.5 cent all in.
still not
If
profit. Still not profitable.
if you can get into industrial out here, I think the lowest that I have seen is 4.5 cent all in.
4.5 cents. So you'd have to be on the highest level because if let's say you're
Yes,
rocking like an SJ9 Pro Plus or like a J Pro or an M30S Plus Plus,
right.
like you have to be running like I think about 6 to 7 kilowatt hour just to like break even. You're probably still gonna struggle. So
Oh yeah.
at anything, I mean, you probably to be profitable, you have to be closer to 3 cents.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's
and
you live in
I found
a
out.
non-mining friendly area, brother.
Yes, yes, and I found that out while I was out in Oklahoma, and it I needed to get the power upgrades. I probably fundraised about 2/3 of it, and I just couldn't find anybody else to kind of help me get past that last little bit of leg before I basically ran out of money myself trying to bankroll everything.
Well, at
You
least you
know?
tried. At
Oh
least you
hell yeah!
tried.
I did something that most people never did, but it opened my eyes up to the whole backside of things of where the numbers really need to be, how much
Mm.
equipment that it takes to break even, how much beyond that to pay everything else that you need, like having lights on, the cooling, personnel besides just yourself all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely. So like so would you say that your journey into the Bitcoin mining world really helped you grow in terms of the entire Bitcoin ecosystem? Would you say that your education in Bitcoin would be incomplete without the mining aspect? I'm curious.
For me, I think so because as I was going through everything, it when meeting up with Mikkel being a little bit of a coder himself, kind of got me interested into some of that and actually being able to go, oh look, that's a block. Oh look, there's another block. I'm sitting here looking at the damn matrix.
Right.
I feel like I'm looking at the matrix, going, oh, there's a happy person. Oh, there's another happy person.
Yes, absolutely. You can read the code now. You're in the matrix, bro.
Right, right.
I
It's like you're seeing the transactions. You know, it's like, and then you're paying attention to all the pools. And it's like it was such more of a hands-on versus just an investment vehicle.
So I'm curious, since you're in such a non-Bitcoin friendly state, and we're making this proclamation based on your electricity prices, which just completely ruins the ability for any unit economic that is efficient. Uh, I would assume that it would be hard to communicate the value of Bitcoin to that state or to the population of that state because the economics just don't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Other than thinking of it like nothing more than a stock investment.
Oh.
They're going to put it in that same category because you can't
Mm.
touch stocks, you can't touch Bitcoin, and in the perceived value because in let's say my mother for her particular life, she knows I'm into Bitcoin, she knows I'm all about it, fiat minimalist, you know, and you know it's like for her she's got no way of like transacting the Bitcoin to where it makes sense for her other than I tell her to invest into it, so she bought a little bit. You know that's the only reason why it has value is because her oldest son says it does.
So it really that's just having this conversation with you. I didn't know that where you live, the electricity costs were that bad. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm generally more on the market side of, hey, we know where the areas in America are that are good for electricity prices,
Yep.
and we can get a good PPA.
And I'm jealous of your area because I think you're in the number one area still.
Yes, yes, and actually, yes, in Georgia, and if we talking about some real tacticals, right? You guys have heard just recently how we have even more miners moving in, right? We got CleanSpark moving. CleanSpark has been here for a while, but just in the last day this week, it was announced that CleanSpark is going to be acquiring 5 more mining facilities in Georgia. So clearly, the
Oh,
electricity economics, and it's a big tens of millions of
right.
dollar deal. And so I think they're going to be adding like 20 exahash or something like that. And so I'm curious because I live and this will be as close as I'll say, but I live in Norcross, Georgia. CleanSpark is in Norcross, Georgia. I can drive, I can walk to their facilities. So I'm really curious about how they're expanding, but certainly if we just use CleanSpark as a simple example, the Bitcoin mining growth is not stopping. Let's put it that way.
Right. Now it's like because you're at the level where you're at with in the whole mining community too. Um, what's your have you heard any bigger buzzes with bigger facilities looking at like Oklahoma, considering they just passed the tax exemption for them?
Yes, absolutely. And so it's really interesting. If you're not, so to give your audience might know, they might not know, but I've been helping build out Bitcoin mining facilities at scale. So lots of acres, tens and tens of megawattage, hundreds and thousands of miners in multiple locations, North Carolina, South Carolina, up in Jersey. So, and out in Oklahoma and Texas, I'm helping out as well in those areas. And so for someone who is constantly listening to the Bitcoin mining news, there's actually a lot going on. One is just one that you brought up. One that was on my radar just last week was about Bitfarms pushing against riots about $1 billion, takeover attempt. And so there's a lot happening in the Bitcoin mining space of big fish eating small fish, scaling out in new areas. Certainly, one thing that I was at the Bitcoin mining conference in Miami just a couple months ago, and one thing that I was really intrigued to hear from a lot of the speakers and a lot of the people that were there is a lot of Bitcoin mining is going really progressive. Let's be honest. A Bitcoin miner's sole purpose in life is to extract economic efficiency out of energy. Like that is, if you're in Bitcoin mining, like you need to have that tattooed on your brain somewhere, that your job is to seek out the most economically efficient power, play that you possibly can. And so because Bitcoin miners are such voracious, viruses looking for the best deal around, power and infrastructure costs and ensuring that burn and OpEx cost is ridiculously low. What I love about the Bitcoin mining space is these types of people who, I use the word virus, but they're so forward thinking, looking to squeeze out those pennies, right? What it creates is a very progressive, mental model where they're always looking for, like, how can I make more money on this energy? And so all that context to say, I was really excited to hear a lot from people in the Bitcoin mining space and at the Bitcoin mining conference in Miami. They're looking into alternative sources, more than just your usual, your adiabatic, your wind cooled, your liquid cooled, your immersion, these types of things, looking into more around solar, more around biomass, which is really exciting.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you know? Did you know a lot about biomass? And biomass,
It's been like slowly popping up with the biomass energy creation. It's like, and like you scratch your head and you're like, that's wild.
Dude, I have to tell you, Brian, like I've spent the last 18 months or so getting a real education around solar and biomass, because I've done pretty much everything except solar and biomass. I've done a little bit of solar, but biomass I've certainly never touched. Did you know, Brian, that one of the biggest expenses for farmers is moving cow shit off of their farm? Biomass waste.
Yep.
Right? It's like,
and a lot of your food cultivators are starting to kick back on stuff because of the fact that they're putting broadleaf pesticides on the fields, which makes the cow manure inusable because those are persistent herbicides and they stay there for 6 to 7 years.
Or some studies show maybe decades.
Yeah, it's like, and that's like, if you get me started, that's why I have a new channel now too, which is RN Homesteading with me and my wife, because going down the rabbit hole of seeing where, just where the food's coming from and what they're, yeah. So, oh my God.
I didn't know. I going down. We'll get back to the biomass in a second, but the homesteading is something that I've been getting into as well.
Oh, snaps.
I'm writing a note down here that you have a YouTube, which, by the way, can you please give props to your wife? Because one thing that maybe your listeners or your audience doesn't know is your wife is amazing at creating dolls. And I have this unicorn. I wish I had it. But I have this amazing doll created by your wife, and it is so close to my heart because it was such a great project. We had such great. Long story short, didn't work out, but it was that project brought you and I together, myself and your wife together, got to, meet her. And so just make sure that your wife gets props, because I still have that. It means a lot
Oh,
to me,
nice.
that plushie. So I don't know if she still makes the plushies, but here's a plug. Your wife is great at making plushies. If you want a custom
And that
plushie,
was that was like a one-off project for you.
oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah.
now I feel even more special. Shit.
Yeah. Because before that, I've got a 76 Nova, and she started off upholstering the back seat for it.
Love it.
And then we did the custom door cards for it too, to
Ooh.
match the interior.
Oh, you gotta drop some pictures of that later.
Oh yeah, I will send them to you, bro. Like they are jaw dropping. Like she did like the 1970 style S Nova SS logo stitched into the door card.
Ooh,
Oh
damn.
yeah,
I mean,
dude, it's
so
like
that
it's
I
on
have
point.
I have to show my little bench seat here. I don't think you. I think I've told you the story of this, but I'm just going to tell it again because we're talking about custom upholstering. So this is from a 1986 Chevy Celebrity. So that my first car was a 1986 Chevy Celebrity, and the front seat is a bench seat. So you remember that, right? When you move up,
Oh
everybody
yeah.
moves up, right? And so It's one of those cars that I wish I still had. You know what I'm saying? This is my first car, 1986 Chevy. I mean, it was like this gunmetal gray, right? Anyway, so I was so in love with that thing, and I was so sad that I got rid of it, that I think a decade ago or so, I got this idea into my head where I was like, you know what? I really want that bench seat. So I spent like 3 months and going to 6 or 7 different junkyards and seeing if I could find an old 86 Chevy. And I finally found one in Dawsonville, Georgia or something like that. Um, that had it. And so I brought my homie up there and we ripped it out and upholstered it. So that's the story behind my amazing seat where I chill out and write notes and read and shit.
Nice, nice. I still have the Chevelle that you sat in.
Oh, bro. That
Tingles
so
in the
you gotta tell
podgy.
you gotta does your audience know about that awesome car? They have to know about that awesome
Oh
car.
yeah, yeah. I've
Oh,
showed it off. I've showed it
okay,
off.
okay, all right, all right.
It
So
sits
y'all
next.
know.
It sits next to my '84 Z28 dragster.
Okay, well, we were this is a mining show, so we were talking about biomass, which was really we could talk about cars all day. But biomass is really exciting, Brian, because one of the farmers I was talking to, this is down South Georgia, because I'm doing some research and helping out this firm up north and trying to figure out how we can containerize, essentially, containerize the burning of biomass. And so what's really cool is it's a combination. You have a regular container, right, a shipping container, and on the top you have solar panels. And then in the container itself, it has a very simple system where you can shovel in cow manure into it. It's on wheels. And so it can be rolled into the farmer's area, and it can be fully sustainable because it's got the solar panels running the system. And then the excess electricity that is created from the burning of the biomass in that container converts to energy that you can connect Bitcoin miners to. And so and I don't mind giving away this game plan. I think it's an amazing game
Oh
plan. I don't
yeah.
think there's anybody. I mean, if there's anybody out there listening, you should try to figure out how to do this. I'm working with a couple that are trying to figure out how to do this. But the point is that there are solutions that are getting very close, in like one-stop solution where you have a containerized unit and you can just back that thing up to a farm, save that farmer like 80 grand a month in manure moving costs,
Oh my
and
god.
they
Yeah.
can just shovel it into this container unit, and it burns the cow poop, and mine's Bitcoin. And so you can do a really simple revenue share with the farmer and say, hey, look, we can lower your costs of moving cow shit, number one. But number two, you also get a revenue share, and with very limited space that this container unit takes up, and you get a revenue share, and you get money back in Bitcoin. So the economic incentive for farmers to burn
Huge.
their poop, the cow shit, and the bio waste on site instead of having it shipped off, on trucks, which is so stupid. So stupid. Why would you move cow shit if you can burn it there, like safely and economically, and obviously have
Right.
some
Oh,
sort of
I mean,
payback, right?
if you had an organic farmer, you had no pesticides, then every farmer in the world's gonna want your product, want that product. So they're incentivized to ship it out from that point. But for everybody else that's using the herbicides, this is a beautiful solution for it.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bifurcated into those two, because you certainly know more about that world. So it would be limited to the I guess the mass producers of biomass that are, would you say, having or injecting animals with not safe products or not safe medications
I
or
would
something
just
like
say that they have more in a smaller area than the ground could absorb in one season.
Okay.
And then you're going to have an access because I mean, if they're indoors a lot, you're going to have all the access from that because nothing is being absorbed.
That's right.
But for anything on pasture, if you've got more bovine on pasture than the pasture can even if you're rotating, you're creating more manure than you know what to do with.
Yes,
and it's
absolutely
poisoning the ground with all the manure.
It's like I never knew. 18 months ago, you would ask me like, well, what do you know about biomass? The answer would have been 0. But now I'm probably know about 5% of what I need to know. But it's so fascinating, this world. And once you start digging into just like farmers' biomass, which is the tactical reason why I'm looking into that, it actually opens up doorways for so many other areas of waste, which you don't know until you talk to farmers.
Like there's another guy that I know on Twitter, Hodl Tarantula, and he does gas capture. So methane gas that'd be coming from the oil fields and stuff like that. He's getting them on board with it and putting the generators on site, setting up the containers for however much it depends on the flow of the pipe, of course, and how much he can set up at each location. But like talking with him, it's amazing. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome.
For anybody out there, anybody of your listeners who are really entrepreneurial and really into the Bitcoin mining world, I would definitely look up the stuff that we were just talking about, biomass, because it's super progressive, like tip of the spear technology that people are trying to leverage. But what you just brought up is something that's come across my table, and I'd say maybe just the last 18, 24 months, which is the flare to gas, right? And flare to power. And so that is a huge opportunity as well. I mean, if you just take, I'm in Atlanta, if you just take I-20 all the way out, all the way to Texas, like you'll pass the flare off sites, right? You'll pass all those areas. And so all you need to do, but I mean, you put containerization units right next to those, right? And so what you create is a system essentially, and this is really cool. This is really fun for me. Is you can actually create it, because when you're digging up oil, there are three parts to that, right? There's the oil, there's the water, and then there's the gas, right? And so there are systems out there that are able to extract all three of these, and this is the juicy part. You can actually use the water that's coming up with the oil and recirculate that water to actually cool the miners in the containerization units, and have the flare off, right? The gas flare off be converted obviously to energy, because that's just waste. And so you can use that energy to power. So put it all together for all the engineers out there. With flare, it really, from a theoretical standpoint, it really is a free energy like making machine, right? Because you have the water that's cooling it, that's coming out of the ground with the oil, and you have the flare off, the gases that are coming out as well. Like those are just part of the bringing up oil. So as long as you're bringing up oil, you got this water that you don't know what to do with, and then you got this flare off, this gas that you don't know what to do with. So you can actually recycle the water and then also use the flare off as energy. So like it's really like those who are figuring that out and those who are entrepreneurial. There are a lot of companies. There's a lot of companies that are looking for engineers and people who can help make this happen.
And a lot of people don't realize too with the flare off is that there's the reason that they're flaring them off is that the cost of bringing that propane to market is too expensive. So they'll just burn it so it's not poisoning the area with propane, and it's a safe way to get rid of a product that isn't going to make you any money to bring it to market. So
if I was an American oil baron, right, kind of traditional, old school, long time money, Right, bro. All over this with my oil fields. I'd be getting the best engineers and saying, "Hey, how can you? I got all this waste. Let's turn the waste into energy and let's
Right.
mine the precious the Bizity Bitcoin." You know, that's what I'd be all
Then
about.
you see it like at some of the garbage dumps where they're burning off
Hmm.
methane,
Yeah,
and I'm just
absolutely.
like, I where I forget where I was at. We were coming down the highway, and I looked over and I see the flare off from this big old garbage pile, and I'm like, oh man, that's like wasted energy over there.
You
I'm
see,
like,
see
how do I?
that.
I'm like, what do I do about that?
See, that's the insidious Bitcoin miner brain that you have on you, which is like, oh my gosh, is that free energy? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of whenever we're looking at stuff, it's like, can I use that? I'll tell you a story. I was over at one of my investors. He has this huge facility and he has his own company and they do t-shirts and all that stuff, printing. And they had all this extra space. It must have been at least 15,000 square feet. And we did lunch and I was hanging out with him in his office, and I was like, "Hey, do you still have that like all that extra space in the back of this warehouse where you do all this stuff?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, show it to me again." So we went back there, and my brain is all in mining mode. I'm like, "How many racks can we get in here?
Right.
How many containers can we get in
How can
here?"
I get the
I was asking,
airflow in here?
yeah,
Where's
how
my
can you get
hot
the
and cold
airflow?
out aisles?
Exactly. What's the hot and cold out? Would we have to blow that wall down? And so I was asking him questions. I was like, "Hey, what's your electric? I know the electricity. I think is." And I was asking him like, what's your power pole? Because that's what I really need. Do you have we're gonna have to install a $500,000 substation
Transformer
here.
field.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And long story short of it, he didn't have the power requirements that I was necessary to make it happen. But that's a Bitcoin miner's brain. It's
Oh my
like
god,
there's
yeah.
space, there's energy, and maybe a willing participant.
And then
How can we make this work?
whenever I found out about shipping containers, I was like, that's game changer. That anywhere where there's wasted energy, you can just plop one of this stuff down. Good to go. Just trying
I
to talk the
mean,
landowners into it and take a cut from management.
see, these are the types of There's a lot of people, Brian, like you and me out there that are into mining at multiple levels of scale, right? But we know enough to be dangerous as a corpus, and I think that is something that our mutual friend, Scott offered of Scott's Bitcoin mining. That's something that I think is becoming more and more of a necessity and need in the Bitcoin mining world is a Bitcoin mining community, a corpus, right? A platform maybe that can say, hey, look, Bitcoin mining is not a complex system, right? It's complicated. Complexity is the unknown unknowns, but Bitcoin mining is a known system. It's complicated for sure, but it is a knowable system. And so with it as a knowable system, the Bitcoin mining world, right, the Bitcoin mining space can create standards and practices and these types of things. And so I think we're getting to this point, Brian, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a lot of need for better standards, better practices, maybe even standardizations of Bitcoin mining, maybe certifications, these types of things.
Yeah.
And I think the level of maturity, and you probably would understand this, right? I mean, I think it's time for a lot of Bitcoin miners to go pro, if you know what I mean, right?
And that'd be something like even I would be on, like if there was like classes or something that I'd be able to join into, and I come out, not only am I certified for everything that I need, I have all the contacts coming out because
Well,
these people are looking at the exit portal on that program.
exactly. Our mutual friend Scott offered. You went to one of his workshops, one of his boot camps. Tell us about that. How was that experience?
That was really kind of cool. I mean, I found that you got to have the world's unshakiest hands for a lot of the micro components.
Not
And
wrong.
there are ways of getting your hand to steady out. But it, like I had been doing, like with automotive, whenever I'm diagnosing electrical, I'm just going, okay, is my wiring good? And do I have ohms, do I have a complete circuit through whatever sensor I'm dealing with?
Yep.
And versus now I'm, going through a board and I'm looking for a clock signal. I'm looking for a reference signal coming through the entire chipset and where it ends. It was like, because like I broke my teeth on the S9s.
Nice.
And so I'm like, it was like trying to sit there and look at all, your reset line, your frequency line, your clock signal. It was just, looking for your voltages coming through, and it was a whole different format to diagnosis. I was able to take some of the automotive stuff in, but it was like trying to wrap my head around going, how can I have a testable circuit if it's broken over here? My brain was like not understanding that, how its relationship to the individual ASIC chips were, and how that played a part into why I could find signal all, have, 56 ASIC, and I'm like, what the heck?
Well, the fact that you can explain this to me tells me you actually know it now. So this is
right.
Great. This is
yeah,
news. It works.
Exactly.
It worked.
Exactly. And I definitely learned a whole lot. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm proficient yet. But that's with anything, experience and time.
So what would you say? And Scott's a good friend of mine, so I don't mind poking at him. What would you say is needed to increase your sophistication and increase your ability to be a better tech, or to be able to really better fully understand these? It's just hey, I took the course and really I just need more seat time, messing in my own lab and messing around with my own miners.
Much. I mean, at that point, it's just more seat time, and then I need some training that goes up into the S19s, the S21s, going into the What's miners and stuff like that. Because like I understand how the circuitry works overall, but dealing with some of the newer ASICs, how the aluminum backplate are on those, and how much temperature you've got to go into it before you can apply more heat, before you can remove one component off there. It's so. I mean, I understand a lot of it, but again, it's like it's stuff fundamentally I understand, but in practice, I just don't have it yet.
Fair enough. I'm curious. Why did you look up the boot camp, and why did you do it? Were you looking to maybe figure out whether you wanted to kind of do this type of work?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, there's a lot of need. Oh my.
Oh my God. Yeah.
If I can tell you right now for a fact, because, and maybe this is a little telling, but I'm all over CleanSpark because they're in my backyard. But CleanSpark has a huge list of technicians needed for this scale out, these 5 new facilities. Like if you go to cleanspark.com and you click on like jobs, like it's like technicians, bro. They need people who knows how to fix these shits. So yeah, that's a big growing need, bro.
Yeah, I just need a little bit more training and just more seat time, really, before like I say, you know what, I'm confident, like how I am as an automotive tech. I mean, with my automotive tech, it's like I'm 3rd generation classic car builder and hot rod builder. And then
you're a mad scientist. Say less. We know.
Yeah, right. And then I got 18 years of wrenching on automotive. So It's like I understand a lot of it. And it's not beyond me, but yeah, it's like I just need the seat time before I can really say confidently, hey, I can do this without somebody being over my shoulder, me just kind of double checking where I'm kind of shaky at, and I have the realization to know where I lack my skill set for right now. But I would love to take it to that next level. Oh my God! But that's money.
You give me a great idea, because I think there's opportunities to create really not hard and not ridiculously sophisticated guides and like tutorials and walkthroughs of all of the hardware machinery that's out there, all the different ASICs and the different generations, because it really is an incremental learning process. And what I mean by that is, if you understand like an S9, right, everything after that, it's just a little bit of incremental improvement and incremental growth, and a little bit more sophistication, but it's not all that crazy. Right. And so it'd be great to be able to say, hey, look, what unit do I have, right? Let me click on a library or video library and say, what unit do I have, and how can I understand how to take this thing apart, diagnose it, fix a fan issue, fix the electrical issue, fix a whatever, right? I think that'd be I think that because one of those things, it's one of those content pieces where if you build it once, I mean, it's not like an S19J Pro is going to change. No, it's going to always be S19 Pro. They're just going to make the next one up. So once you make that video and a full kind of guide of it, I think that'd be you know what? Maybe you should do that, Brian. Maybe you should be that guy.
Right.
I don't know.
I would love to. It's like, and I'd love to take some more classes even with Scott. But it's like it just boils down to any time that you're going into a school, it's time and money. For me, time's not so much of an issue, but the money is.
Oh, show. I get it.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to ask you this. Did you hear about Trump recently promising in one of his latest speeches about supporting Bitcoin mining in America? What do you think about that? Did you hear about that?
I heard something about it. I didn't dig all the way into it. It was just like I heard a little grumbling on Twitter's on that.
What do you think? Do you think that matters? That
I don't
Trump
think
would
it. I don't
it?
think. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think the honey badger gives a shit.
Say less, bro. I get it. Absolutely. The honey badger don't give a shit.
So I mean, like with or without the government support, at the end of the day, they're gonna get on board.
It is one of those things. So so it was I forget where he said it, but Trump essentially said that this is how Trump works, right? He said he wants all the remaining Bitcoin to be made in the USA or something like this.
Right.
And he wants America to be energy, dominant, I think is the word that he used. But I'll take the support. I'll take the support from anybody. But you're not wrong. The honey badger don't care. The honey badger is going to do what it's going to do. Have you been watching? I'm sorry.
Because the way that I look at it with the U.S. government, at least the way that they end up implementing stuff is that they hit it from, oh, this is the feel good side, and then on the back side they've got all this regulation that they boom onto it and make it impossible for anybody to legally participate, because they were already trying to get it to where they know the ins and outs on all the UTXOs, and you can't do that. It's impossible. And they regulated into it like that. It's basically, in essence, a ban. So that's going to be an issue that I see if they don't have the right people that would make the legislation as pure as business fundamentals would be. Not something that they're trying to regulate and crush, but something like the next Amazon. How would they regulate the next Amazon? They wouldn't be putting crushing regulation down on it. They would be giving it this little sandbox to explore in. So if they give it a sandbox, almost like how El Salvador, the way that the sandbox that they gave with Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. They're like, we're only going to give Bitcoin the sandbox here, and everybody can use it. It's now legal currency for the country because it's uncorrupt money. And they're wanting to use volcanic energy to mine.
Bro. I had this opportunity. I skipped on it because I just didn't have the time, but it was an opportunity to go down to Costa Rica and check out these hydro mines or these hydro power plants, and where they're thinking about adding Bitcoin miners. And I'm like,
they've got a volcano there,
bro. Yes, hydro mining from these huge hydro dams. Definitely. You got the power of water forever. Come on, dude. They should have been doing that a decade ago. Say less. But when you said volcanic, dude, I thought about dinosaurs for some reason. That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me, how are they going to use volcanic?
So they're using the water. Yeah, the water and the steam vapor coming off of the magma.
That's cool.
They're just going to set up big old reactors like that are capturing rising steam. It is it's an island with a volcano, and they got all the water they need.
Bro,
the most renewable energy resource on the planet.
How can we get in on that, man? I'm intrigued.
So I know Samson Mao has been public about it. And he is actually on the committee that's helping with that. So if you got
That's
ins with
amazing.
Samson Mao, that would be the way to get into it.
Well, I know that name well.
Yes, you're
I
an
do not
OG
have
when
a-
you know that name.
Yeah, I know that name well, but I don't know if I have any inroads. But maybe I should look it up.
Right,
That's
because
super dope,
because
dude.
him and Max Kaiser are all in over it.
That's right. That's Mac. Max is just he's the best, dude.
Dude,
He's the
he's a
best.
beast.
He is totally one of the beasts of the beasts. So that's really interesting stuff, man. Like volcanics. So are they how are they going to collect it? So they're just going to have this like platform above the volcano, and is that how
Yep, and
it's going to work?
they're just put capture domes on it, and it's going to go through turbines.
I get it. And so they can run piping of water right
Yep,
through there
they
too.
can regulate the speed, everything.
Damn.
It'll basically make them energy independent, and they won't, because as of right now, that island is mostly powered by a diesel generator.
Dude, they're gonna be like the next like Japan from
Oh
from
my God.
nuclear bomb to like industrial city in 25 years.
Oh yeah, this is like they are the new upcoming place people don't want to talk about.
Dang, that's like Tomorrowland, man. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I love hearing stuff like that. So what other places are you hearing about that are scaling out, other countries that you've heard of? Any others that are hitting your radar?
I've heard a few things of people doing Iceland because of the
Yes, of
geoenergy out there too. And the cost of energy out there is next to nothing.
Absolutely. I was reading something earlier about El Salvador, which is obviously in the news all over that Bitcoin. But I think Jack Dorsey is creating a Bitcoin mining pool that's actually headquartered in El Salvador. So
Yep.
I think that hit my news. I think maybe a couple weeks ago. So that is really good news. I would love to hear more about how they're leveraging Bitcoin mining pools and Bitcoin mining down there, because most of the stuff is just about the policies around Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, and they're trying to make it to where they are basically encouraging all the Bitcoin innovation to come there.
So I have an interesting question for you. Just sparked in my head because I get this question a lot from investors. So investors, when you talk to people who may be interested in Bitcoin mining, and they'll say stuff like, well, whenever the last Bitcoin is going to be mined, then what's the point of Bitcoin miners? And obviously, there's very simple reasons that you could probably give that I would deeply understand as to why we should still have mining. But what do you say to an unsophisticated individual when they say, "Hey, what's the point of mining after the last Bitcoin's mined?" What would be your answer? I'm curious.
So you're still providing network security, and at that point, if there's no mass adoption for it, there won't be enough mining fees for it to sustain the current level of miners. And I say it in that way because after the last Bitcoin is mined, you'll have a new readjustment of hash rate difficulty because miners won't be efficient enough at that point to stay competitive. And they're now competing block to block versus a block of a known. Now they'll be going into a block of the unknown, and a business model doesn't work as nicely. So it will phase out those who were on the cusp with that last Bitcoin being mined, and you'll have the network will adjust in itself to where the miners that are left will stay incentivized to stay there.
Yes,
It's just a matter of making sure that you're in the right spot in the world with the most efficient energy possible.
So it was kind of a trick question because I wanted to lead into this other question that
Sure.
I had for you. But you're not wrong. Basically, what I tell people is, first off, number one, you're going to be dead, so it don't matter.
Right.
So
I try to stay away from that one.
Stop worrying about when is the last Bitcoin going to be mined. It's going to be 2142 or something like that.
Something like that,
But
yeah.
you're going to be dead, so it shouldn't matter. And if you really care, the short answer is it's going to be economically efficient somehow for miners to want to validate transactions. That's it, right? They're going to get paid to validate transactions.
Right.
That
is the short answer for it, for sure.
That's the short answer. But here's the what I think could consider a more crippling question beyond this, because we are seeing the consolidation of Bitcoin miners. We are seeing the capitulation every cycle of the Bitcoin cycle and the Bitcoin halving cycle. We see the capitulation and more shutdown of smaller retail miners every single cycle. And so what we're seeing is certainly very much so really a consolidation of the Bitcoin miners in the space. And so I wonder, and which, by the way, which also includes news that I was just looking at earlier. I don't know if you heard about this, but this was posted on Cointelegraph June 15th, that NiceHash is now partnering with Marathon Digital. So now we're seeing even more, software and mining companies, this Marathon is publicly traded, big, that are combining forces and are connecting their software, their firmware, their hardware, their knowledge share. And so this is, again, pointing more towards consolidation, right? Of just a couple of big players. So I'm curious, in your opinion, is that a problem for the future? I don't know if there's a good answer or a right answer. Is that a problem, do you think, in the future, this even more consolidation, or not?
I think it's dual-edged sword. I think that's a dual-edged sword, really, because at the end of the day, in a trustless system, you have to trust the miners. It's not about, I run a Bitcoin full node wallet. It's not just about that. You have the relationship of the miner. So if you really want to have a say so, you have to mine. You have to participate. I don't care if it's an old school grid seed miner, a BitAxe. Yeah. And
you gotta that's a throwback, bro. I love that.
Oh, hold on here.
Oh shit, man. Oh man, you're gonna have me get out my old miners too. All my old miners are out there.
Grid seed.
Oh.
A working grid seed.
Get out of town.
It still fires up, dude.
No way.
Yes.
Okay, please explain to everybody out there. I don't know if everybody knows what the hell that is, but that thing is OG. That thing is OG as fuck, bro.
So I forget what year this actually came out in.
Hold on, let me turn off my my blur here so that it actually comes up nicely. There we go. So, a fully functioning grid seed.
Wow. So explain to people what is that?
So this is an early day ASIC chip. It had originally come out as a Litecoin miner.
Right, that's right.
And then somebody figured out it also had a couple of Bitcoin ASIC chips on the other side of the hash board that you just had to run some more code and it would fire it all up. So this is like in very, very early day ASICs that were like they GPU on Bitcoin was still around, I believe.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think, like, what, 2014?
Something like that, yeah. The GPUs were on it, and these were like some of the first ASIC chips, because this thing for with it mining at full was 85 watts at full rip, and it had 142 mega hash on Bitcoin. And then
that's not gonna get you very far now.
Oh my god, I was running this for a little while, and I'm like, this is gonna be the lottery ticket that pisses the world off.
Bro, if you turn that on and you just run it, and because we've seen
I
news
still use
like
it.
that. You should have that shit on, because there was a news article.
Whenever I'm streaming, I can't run this.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Like there was a news article probably 2 months ago where there was a solo miner who solved I'm sure you solved it.
Yeah, a bit with an S9. one
Yeah,
single S9 and he hit a block. And then like a few months later, a person with two S9 hits a block.
So come on, guys. Like, if you have an old miner, like I'm still running an old Doge miner on a tower, because why the fuck not, man?
Right.
Just supporting the ecosystem, guys. It doesn't cost a lot of money to run a little miner. But here's the point: you could get lucky. There is a statistical possibility, albeit it's very small, but there still is a possibility that you could be that guy.
Oh yeah.
You could be that guy. Right?
I mean, the guy that had his S9 on, he had it on since the day he bought it, and never hit a block until that one time. I mean, 6.25 Bitcoin's life changing.
bro, he just. I mean, can you imagine? Let's take a moment. Let's say that you're that guy. You're the lone S9. What would be running through your head when you found out that you hit that block? Like, what would be the first thing that you'd be thinking? I'm curious.
I probably wouldn't say anything, but there'd probably be signs.
That's right. Man, Brian, you are a wordsmith. I love it. Yes. I'm going to be very quiet and very low about it, but yes, there will be signs.
Right?
There will be signs.
Yeah. The next thing you know, Crypto and Hot Rod is doing one of those drag and drive events, and I got a Steve Morris $75,000 motor in it. I'm not going to say anything, but there will be signs.
Yes, there will be signs. It's only good for 2 pulls, though, so we got to make sure that it works well, because you got to rebuild those shits, dude. One of the
not with the Steve Morris. He does the ones that are 4 drag and drive events.
Really,
4,000 horsepower monsters.
Oh, dude, there's
totally streetable with coolant in the heads.
Really?
Yes.
So I'm not an expert in that world, but I mean, it was a couple years ago. Life-changing moment. I was hanging out with one of my racing buddies, and he was like, "Hey man, you got to come see this shop." And I was like, fuck, car guy, say less, I'm there.
Right.
All right, so went to this car shop, and it wasn't a car shop. This was a drag team. They had like 20 acres and these huge facilities. And when we're driving up this long driveway, right, and there's this rumble, and I'm because I didn't know this was a drag team. And so I'm just, I'm in the car alone. He's in front of me. I'm following him. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the whole ground is moving. And I think I was in my R8 or Porsche or something. Doesn't matter. And I was just like I can hear this thing. Dude, we roll up to this thing. This thing is like a 20,000 horsepower, dragster thing. Dude, I'm sure you know.
Yeah, they're like about 10,000. If they're the long rail cars, those are 10,000 horsepower. Nitromethane, 440 cubic inch blocks.
Bro, like we were outside, and I was, like this, and it was the rumbling. And
then you go up to it, and then you walk up to it, and you're like, I'm not crying. It's the fuel. Your eyes just instantly start watering, and it feels like you got pepper sprayed. If you've been around one of these nitromethane cars, people, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I don't, brother. I don't. So, like, when I say life change, clearly it wasn't life changing enough, because I still haven't gone to a drag show. That came out wrong. Drag race, yeah. A drag race, yeah. Freudian slip there. But like, that thing was awesome, dude. It was the most power I felt coming through my chest that I could have ever imagined. I thought like it was taking over my heart, like rhythm or something like this. But so I need to go to a drag strip, man. I need to go to one of those drag races for sure.
Oh yeah, the field, like when you get the top fuelers, you got to do the top fuelers. That is like, that is something totally different. Or you're doing what is it? The NPK races too. Those are like your street outlaw guys.
No, you're giving me all. I'm writing notes down because this is a new world to me. Drag those engine and those cars, dude, are just. I had a newfound respect when I got to see it, hear it, watch it, look at it. I was just like,
it's a whole different creature. Whenever you're realizing that for 60 feet, it takes you like 1.1 of a second to hit 60 feet.
So some of
It's
my
like
favorite...
a rubber band. You go 9 G's into the back of your seat, and you're like, I'm holding on to the steering wheel still. Oh my god!
I love. So have you ever actually taken a drive in one of those things?
Not the. I haven't done anything above 3,000 horsepower.
Wait, what?
It was 2,600 horsepower. It was a 78 Camaro Z28.
Man, for those in the back, I've never done more than 3,000 horsepower. Okay. All right. Big balls. Oh,
It's a
awesome.
different feeling, especially when you're on the big what they call the big end of the drag strip, where you're past the halfway point. You're now like right around that 190, 200 miles an hour. You're on a skinny little front tire that's got very little contact patch. You've got a big tire that has a little contact patch. You go from a vehicle that is, when it's stationary, is like 2,900 pounds to one that, if you had a weigh scale, would only trick the weigh scale for 1 pound per tire at that speed. And you're not in a radial tire, where, if you guys don't know about a radial tire, I know my man Peter does, but it has, like, you have steel cords in there that are going at a 45, and they got one that goes all the way around that. And that kind of helps give it a little bit of stability, especially at higher speeds.
Yes.
And you don't got that in a drag rear tire. So you get those higher speeds, and those tires start getting skinny on you, and it lifts up the back end. You start feeling it wiggle.
Yeah, bro.
And you're just going, oh my god! And you'll if you got in camera people with the cameras, you'll see that seat just dancing around. That's the tires,
bro. Like, I've seen the slow motion of these thick ass tires go.
Yep.
It's like that. It's like, what?
You go from a tire that's got like 3 feet wide, we'll say, down to a half a foot of contact patch.
And then when they have the slow mo after it's all
taken off,
taken off, like the thing is just warped as it's gripped
because it's wrinkle wall slicks, so it's putting down more ability to have rubber on the ground, and they've got to bolt those tires in. Otherwise, you can actually do a burnout and spin the rim inside the tire. It's got that much torque. So
how do they bolt the rubber to the rim?
The old school way was you would have a special rim that had holes in it, and you would put screws right through them that would cut right into it. The new stuff is now it's a clamp that clamps into it.
Oh, but it doesn't. Wouldn't the clamp create an oddity in the rotational mass? Wouldn't it unbalanced?
They balance. Everything is machine balanced. It's machine cut on a multi-axis lathe, so these things are just perfect.
They have to be. If they're
my god,
fast. Holy shit! You can. I would assume that even one hairline misalignment could have epic failure.
Yeah, it might not always have failure. What you'll get is you'll hit a certain speed, and it'll have a harmonic or a frequency. And the tire will actually come off the ground for a brief moment and do a burnout. And you just basically take your foot off the gas, and you just lost the race because your harmonics just went whack on you.
Shit, man, this is a whole new world of science, baby. I love it, man. I love ending the talk with this car stuff, because now I get to now I'm even more curious about this stuff.
And I've got a question before we end here. Just to tie it back into a little mining. What's your opinion on the future of Bitcoin mining?
Oh, easy.
I mean, let's say in the next 10 years.
Perfect. 10 years is exactly as far as I can look out. The next 10 years are going to be, in my opinion, the most economically efficient time, and with the highest profitability, if you're getting into it, that we've ever seen. So is Bitcoin mining, like anything, going to hit a diminishing return level? 100%. And so I think what's going to be really intriguing and really interesting as we move past the next 5 years is going to be a maturity and maybe even pivots around Bitcoin mining education, Bitcoin mining infrastructure, Bitcoin mining scaling. At this point, there's going to be even more of a consolidation of some of these Bitcoin miners, and so I think that's going to have a part to play in the Bitcoin mining arena. But I would say that to mine as a retail miner, so if we look at different use cases or different user personas, to be a Bitcoin miner today, I think is always going to be a good idea. I think even at 10 years plus, I think it's a valuable skill. It's a valuable thing to do, to learn about. I think it gets you in the game of Bitcoin, and it's kind of like a gateway drug. Like if you mine, you'll learn about so much more, right? You'd be like, oh shit, I need to actually custody this stuff safely. Well, so then that takes you down the track of self-custody and custodying safely. And you'll say, oh shit, like I can actually figure out ways to do arbitrage on some of this. It's like, then you start looking into, DeFi and loaning it out or leveraging your Bitcoin and so Bitcoin mining is, I deeply consider that Bitcoin mining is the gateway drug to keep you in Bitcoin, keep you in crypto, keep you in DeFi, keep you in Web3. And this is the future that we're invariably going to be ducktailing into in the next 10 years for sure. So long story short, Bitcoin mining will always be something that I think everybody should be interested in. There are going to be Bitcoin miners that are going to become even more retail focused in the future. Maybe I've heard of some. Ain't nobody going to be getting rich, but it's going to be a way for you to learn about, Bitcoin, mining it, protecting, helping support the network, these types of things. And so there's a lot of value yet still. So for those who are in Bitcoin mining, I think if you're in Bitcoin engineering or engineering period or infrastructure or hardware, like Bitcoin and energy are going to be two huge well, first off, energy period, power energy, that market is multi-trillion-dollar, right? It's global. Like go find if you want to have a great job, start getting some certifications in energy support or infrastructure or building out technology or networking, right? Like that shit's never going to go away. I think Bitcoin is going to become even more professionalized in the next 10 years and will start to act like the industries of solar, the industries of networking, the industries of data centers, right? So Bitcoin goes really well with data centers and power. So I think Bitcoin will mature, and Bitcoin mining specifically will mature into a really substantial, maybe almost lethargic industry where it's like, it's knowns now. It's kind of boring. It still makes money. And there's some really cool new retail options for everybody who wants to learn about it. But Bitcoin mining is going to be around forever. So it's going to be one of those places where you can certainly make a stand, make some money, and make a good career.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the grandma test to finally get passed.
Well, we still have to get through the grandma test with just regular Bitcoin.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like if we can get past that grandma test, oh my god, it would open up so many opportunities.
You and I could go walk through the frustrations that you and I had in 2016, 2017 when we first met. This shit's still here in 2024. The same frustrations, bro.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh my god.
Man, we're still here. We're still surviving, man. It's always good to see you, man. It's always good to hear that.
Always great to see you and see this. See all the projects you got going on. See all the go-kart racing your kid is like being beast mode at.
We love the racing. So just as a final plug, I'm going to be at Bitcoin Nashville with our mutual friend Scott Offord, and helping out at the Scott Offord's Bitcoin Mining World booth at Bitcoin Nashville 2024. So if you're going to be at Bitcoin Nashville, come see me. I'd love to say hi, hang out, and I might have some swag to give you. So
God, I wish I could do it. I wish I could. I'm going to the Bitcoin Mining Summit.
Brian, I got you. I'll send you some shit. I got you, bro.
It's like I wish I could come down there and hang out with you. Just to do like old times' sakes. Those 2 a.m. conversations were real, dude.
Bro, dude, those are some. You know what you could do? You're not too far from Nashville. You could bring that old Chevelle back.
I know. I could. I mean, I just got to put a new starter in her. That's it. It's like the old starter's not happy being next to a long tube exhaust header, and right next to it, it's like, I'm hot. I quit.
Oh, come on. You got to cool that baby down, bro.
I'm putting a different starter that's a lot smaller on there, so it's like it gives it a little bit of room on there. Things got put on there, and I didn't think about it, and I'm like, I'll just put a blanket on it. It's fine. It was. They make heat blankets.
Does heat blanket? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fine for like, I don't know, like 8 years.
You know, it sounds like hey, hold my beer, watch this.
Right,
It's a great
exactly.
idea. Look, it's a great idea. Look, it saved me fucking $25.
Oh yeah. That is like, well, it saved me like $100 at the time that I didn't have.
You got stories for days.
Oh yeah. So thank you very much, my dude, for coming on, taking a little time out of your busy day to come speak with the one of the old school plebs.
Oh man, it's always good to be here. Thanks so much for the invite, and you know what? I'd love to do it again. Maybe we should look out a couple months. Let's do it again.
Hell yeah, sounds good. Kind of catch up for old time's sake
Actually,
and see where the market's going at future too.
let's just be intentional. Let's just set up a time after the Bitcoin Nashville conference so I can give you a recap of what I learned.
Hell yeah, that sounds good. You guys heard it
Let's
here
do it.
first. Yo.
Yo, thank you, brother.
Hell yeah. So thank you everybody for being here. All that good stuff. Definitely smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that good stuff, guys. And while you're on your way out, tell your friends all about this channel. I'm trying to get to that 2,000 subscriber level. It's been a while since I being an OG in the space, I should be there. And I was even going to sweeten up the deal a little bit. I can get there. I was going to do an old school GPU giveaway of a GPU that got me where I'm at today, a 1070.
1070? You need to sign that thing with a gold.
Oh, I
pen,
would.
bro.
And if everybody's willing to get me there before the end of July, I'll double it up.
All right. Well, guess what I'm going to be tweeting once I get off of this? I'm going to be tweeting the link of the YouTube so that people will see that you and I hung out, and it's been a long time, brother. Man.
Oh yeah, long time coming, my friend. For sure. So thank you everybody for being here. Peace out. Stay savage, and may your watts be low and your hash be high. We'll see you on the next one. Yo.